Words matter.
Welcome to the Words Matter Pod with Akil Pinnock, a podcast dedicated to wordsmiths. I'm here with founder and owner of Envy of New York, Scott Beale-King.
Yeah, what's going on, man? Appreciate you for having me, King.
Appreciate you for coming here, man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You know, another day in the life. Blessed to be alive. Blessed to wake up.
And so who are you?
I'm the owner, creative director and founder of Envy of New York, a streetwear brand based out of Brooklyn, New York. Been around since 2018. Been doing our thing ever since. Father, provider, lover. It's just, another everyone's brother, man. Real big on family.
Closer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. And is being a clothing designer something that you always wanted to be?
So it wasn't always something I wanted to be. I want to say just being in art was something I always wanted to do. Ever since I was probably about in fourth grade, I was in art studio. My teacher told me I was good, but I had a lot of things I had to still work on. But just from at that young age, I realized there was a lot of potential that I had to tap into, and it was on me to make that into reality. So just traveling through trial and error, I really did always have a liking for streetwear, for fashion itself. I was in fashion shows, and then that's when I found out how to bridge or bring those two worlds together.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of like had me really dive into streetwear, and then ever since, I had another brand before Envy of New York. I was part of that team, but ever since 2018, like I said, it's been head first diving in Envy of New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said you had another brand?
Yeah, I was a part of another team. Got brought onto that by a college friend.
Okay.
Really tapped in. Really wanted to find out exactly how we can expand on things going on at that time. That was around 2014. There was a lot of things going on with Black Lives Matter, a lot of police brutality, and that's where my mindset was. How to do better for our people, how to bring a brighter side to things that were going on. So the name of that company was called Bright Figure Black Thoughts. And it was really just creating a brighter reality, for despite the things going on in the world. Of course, we have these dark thoughts, these black thoughts. Just you as an individual, as a black person, you have these thoughts, but there's still another way out. There's still things that we can overcome, and that was our mission, helping us overcome those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think that you brought some of what you learned from that brand to Envy?
Yeah, of course. There were a lot of things, a lot of L's we took. But as they say, you turn your L's into lessons. So there's a lot of things about productivity, cost of goods, just doing things that resonate with people, your supporters, your audience. And, there were some things that, really did shape my mindset when it comes to owning a brand or just being a businessman. So I brought all those things, over to Envy, and, it helped me grow out the team. So now I have a whole team behind me, and I'm using those lessons to, help them grow as individuals too.
What specifically?
I think discipline is something that everyone should, work into their own mindset when it comes to how you approach things, how you handle things, or even just, understanding you're putting something out into the world, and the world will judge it, but at the end of the day, you're your biggest critic. That inside voice is always going to eat you alive sometimes, but you have to stay true to who you are. And as long as you're doing that and you're connecting with the audience, then there's a possibility and there's opportunities out there for you.
Yeah. What mentally do you need to start a brand?
Man, I just want to say a certain drive, Sometimes it's fueled by different things. Could be family. For me, it is family.
Yeah.
But, you have drive, you have passion, you have your own goals that you want to see. For me, I have a streetwear brand, and the goal is to make that brand grow into something beautiful into the world. But my LLC is under Envy Studios. So one day I hope to, of course, have Envy of New York or Envy still going, prospering, of course, but to allow other creatives to come into a space. It will be a brick and mortar space where we're helping other creatives get their dreams out, reach their goals, whether you're doing podcasts or you want to do a photo shoot, video production. It will be like a one-stop shop for creatives to really just help their dreams, foster and grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a way that through clothing you could mesh all of the other things that you plan on incorporating into Envy Studios?
Yeah. So I want to say I'm already off to that start. You know, one of the things that we pushed for a minute, especially around Black History Month, is Black Visionary Semi-Social Club. And with that, you know, we talk about or we touch on a lot of different topics within the Black community, or just the community itself, but really, really focusing on, you know, the Black community because that's how I was raised. And honestly, most of the people around me are Black. You know, that's just how it is. So just making sure that, you know, we're focusing on building within our community. You know, always just trying to excel, develop ourselves into something that, you know, doesn't exist in the world, or even if it does exist, then you're still creating a network for people to come together and build upon each other. Yeah.
What is a step-by-step process of starting Envy or any streetwear brand? I remember he did this before he died, but on Virgil's website, he left a step-by-step process of how to start a brand.
Yeah.
So do you think any of those steps kind of parallel with the steps that you took?
Yeah, for sure. Just, you know, starting out, you know, you want a name that, you know, you can attach yourself to, something that really holds value in your life. And for me, you know, Envy of New York, or Envy, was something that really came to me during the time where it was a transitional phase for my life. You know, it was right before, you know, I became a father. And for me, you know, just looking at a world where, you know, you're just a Black father in the world, you know, you have different perceptions of you, especially for the fact that I wasn't married to my partner at the time. So, you know, I felt like there was a lot of eyes on me, and even things that were said to me, unfortunately, at the time, where it was like, you know, you're about to have a child, your whole world is going to change upside down. All the goals that you had, all the dreams that you had will kind of like crumble and they'll deteriorate. And for me, it was like, nah, like that's not the type of person I am. You know, like I said when we started, you know, drive is something that you have to have. So for me, I kind of flipped that around and said, you know, instead of me, you know, letting that, you know, destroy me, I'm going to elevate myself. And I'm going to make sure I'm doing what I need to do to get where I want to get. So now, you know, all that things like having, you know, a purpose, and letting that show through, you know, the steps that I took when I started out, you know, making sure that the name kind of says like, okay, you know, you're not going to just see me fall. You're going to just envy the dream itself, because this is my dream. You're going to envy the dream. You know, you put your bad juju or your negative vibes on me. So now you're seeing me develop into the person that I know that I can be.
Yeah. And you kind of answered that question for me, because I definitely was going to ask, you know, why the name Envy?
Yeah. And it's exactly that. You know, it's not really being envious of someone else. I think that's like a bad like connotation that it has to it. But it's really about just envying the dream, envying the possibility, because that's what people really do strive to be. You know, they strive to achieve their dreams. They strive to achieve their goals. And, you know, just having that name, especially with, you know, Envy of New York attached to it, Envy of NY, you understand, you know, just the grit, the hustle of New York. That's all attached to the name. So for people who aren't out in New York, people who aren't from here, you still know the culture that New York has. You know, it's real gritty, real get to the bag. That's something that, you know, we are just known for. No matter where you are, you know New York, whether in your LA, ATL, anywhere, you know New York is known for that. So Envy of New York together was just a perfect combination for me.
Do you think your journey as an owner and founder of Envy is like anyone else's, or anyone else who does the same thing that you do?
Yeah, for sure. You know, just starting out, you know, you have your struggles. You have certain things that you battle as yourself. You know, we're all human at the end of the day. So, like, even my personal life impacted the success of Envy. You know, when I was out of work for a little while, you know, by my choice, you know, I was going through a career change. So, you know, I was battling my own demons, like mentally, trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life, where I wanted to be. Everyone's big on 5-year goals or 5-year plans. So, I think everyone goes through that, you know? So when you have a plan, you might get knocked off that plan. How do you bounce back? You know, your business goes through certain hurdles. When COVID hit, you know, supply chains crashed. You know, prices for shipping went up ridiculously. They're still going up. So as a business owner, you're still dealing with the same things that everyone else is going through the world, but in a different different type of realm.
How does it affect you just to go into that like supply chain changing and the price of anything just going up exponentially?
Yeah, so with pricing for us, shipping is always the worst thing, honestly. So I want to say in January when Omicron hit, that was a big L for us because it was like usually shipping would have been maybe $2K, $2,500 for the order that we had in, but it went from that to being like $5,500. So now we're faced with, do we take an L for the collection? Do we not put anything out? Or do we try to hustle and bustle, round up these funds and get the shipment in?
Yeah.
And of course, this is like delaying everything if we don't get this merchandise out that we already paid for. So the merch is all paid for, the shipment isn't. So now it's like our funds is tied to this order and we can't put out our next collection because we're not getting any income unless we bring this order in. So that was like a big thing for us, but we overcame it. We're still overcoming it right now, but we're making progress. Definitely some on the up and up for sure. Yeah.
You know, brands get their merchandise outsourced from different countries. What would the steps be to have your products made in the U.S.?
Yeah. I mean, some of our products are made in the U.S. So I'm real big on T-shirts. Like I said, T-shirts, are the staple piece in the streetwear brand. They tell the story of the brand. They tell the story of that collection. So all the T-shirts are made in the U.S.
Yeah.
And then some of the hoodies, some of those garments, hats, headwears, they're made in the U.S. as well. But we do have a lot of our inventory that comes from overseas.
Yeah.
A lot of people get their stuff from China. That's and it's because of the cost.
Yeah.
I want to say that even with Kanye or Ye, he started his factories out in Wyoming, I believe. So he's able to get everything done in the U.S. But the cost of doing business, you have the labor costs, those overhead costs, they're just so high in the U.S. And it takes money to do it. If you have the type of revenue as a Kanye West, then you could do that. But you can't do it in New York. You can do it in New York, but to have the space to do that is just like, it's crazy. You need the money for that, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like the definition of what streetwear is so unclear. My original understanding of what streetwear is hip hop, skateboard and underground hip hop influenced clothing.
Yeah.
Your definition might be different. What exactly is streetwear to you?
Yeah, no, it's exactly that. It's exactly that. So with streetwear, a lot of times, we have, the word like luxury streetwear kind of like connected to each other. And for me, it's streetwear, but it's not the origin. Like you said, it's the hip hop. It's the skateboarding. It's those worlds coming, they're clashing together. We saw that with Stussy. Stussy's one of my favorite brands. Supreme, exactly. Like those staple names that are still around to this day, and they're around to this day because they stay true to the origins of it. And I want to say even with Envy, that's something that I really try to like make sure we're big on. We're real big on community. Those brands were real big on the same things, and we try not to ever like venture off away from that because our community is what helps us be so successful. I've always been connected to my community no matter where I've lived, whether it was Brooklyn or, where I went to high school out in Rockland. I'm still tapped in very much because without them, I wouldn't be who I was. And, the brand just always try to gives back to them in some way, somehow. Yeah.
Who do you seek guidance from?
Ooh. When I was younger, it was easier for me. Not gonna lie, I had my my aunt around. She was pretty much my mother. She raised me, and then there was my grandmother before her. Nowadays, I really have my peers. Of course, I have my girlfriend. I lean on her for a lot. The mother of my child, actually. So, women in my life have always been major. Lean on them because they see the world differently.
Yeah,
I want to say they mature. They grow in different ways that men kind of still catch up to. Exactly. They grow faster. They see things and see like the seriousness and the impact of it for how it would affect the family. Sometimes before men do, but that's usually who I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning towards women who I have like a lot of like faith in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but even does that apply to the fashion and the logistics as well?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just because of the world we live in. You know, women think it's hot, men will eventually,
Yeah.
run towards it. That's just how it is, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
women are women. You can't get around that. We love
Yeah.
them, and we owe a lot of credit to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Who's the prototypical envy consumer?
I want to say someone who has a deep, care for like the streets, everything that's going on in the world, whether it's hot topics or just relevant things. Someone who really cares about music, someone who cares about sports, comfortability. That's something that the brand is very big on, just being comfortable in what you're wearing, something you can step out in, but also something you could just run out of the house in. And it really is like the everyday person. We try to keep our things affordable for that reason. Growing up, I was shopping at Marshalls, JCPenney, Macy's, the sale rack first. My grandmother kept me in like Rocawear suits, Fat Farm, stuff like that. Even FUBU, but those things were always affordable.
Some good platinum FUBU.
Exactly.
With the Fat Albert on the jean
man.
on the back pocket.
You can't get rid of those, man. When you bring them up, and they brought them back around now. Look, they have Forever 21. I probably wouldn't have gone. Yeah,
that's
route,
nasty.
But, it's nasty work. It's nasty work. But those things came back around for those reasons. The staples. They're gonna always be hot. So, yeah.
Yeah. Is that who you target?
Yeah. As a '90s baby, I try to think about what we would love. Even for a lot of the T-shirts, especially, you kind of see that nostalgic kind of essence to it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, for sure, I want to say '90s babies usually gravitate towards envy a little bit, quicker than anyone else. But also, you have the '80s babies, some old heads too, because they respect, what's going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every collection that you release is telling a specific story. Mm-hmm. What is the overall story that you're trying to tell with envy?
Overall story is, community is made of different people, especially when you look out, like the brand is based in Brooklyn. And when you look outside, you'll see different faces. You'll see Black, white, Asian, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Indian. So many different people that are impacted by everything that's going on in the world. And we want our brand to really just stand on the pillars that community is what got us here. Also, no matter where you're from, you are a part of our story. And with those things together, we just want to build a healthy environment, because sometimes we do come from toxic environments that, kind of, bring us down. And that's the last thing that we want envy to represent. We want people to come to our pop-ups, come to our events, or even just look at our Instagram, our website, and just know that we are you and we understand you. The slogan of the brand is designed for dreamers and creatives alike.
Yeah.
And no matter what type of person you are, we have a home for you. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's a great answer.
Appreciate that, man.
We talked about streetwear. Do you think that, because I'm starting to see a lot of brands that you would consider streetwear label themselves as a lifestyle brand. Mm-hmm. Is Envy would you consider it a lifestyle brand as well, or streetwear, or
yeah, for sure, yeah. We have attached lifestyle to our biography for the brand, mm-hmm. What we represent, because we tap into so many things that are going on in today's current world, mm-hmm. And even just the different lifestyles that we have. There's different people on the team that come from different backgrounds. And with our capsules, especially with our different collections, we try to tie in, the different aspects of history, different aspects of culture. And without a certain lifestyle, it's like you're kind of just living. Everyone has a certain lifestyle. That's why we speak about comfortability. We have garments for just being comfortable. We have garments for people stepping out. We have garments that literally have a message on them, mm-hmm. So if it resonates with you, I want to say it is streetwear, yes, but it is also a lifestyle, something that you live by, something that you are willing to die for.
Yeah. We spoke about who the prototypical Envy consumer is, but who are you trying to reach?
Ooh. I want to say someone that has a story to tell.
Yeah.
Streetwear has always been big on telling a story. You even asked that earlier. So if you have a story to tell, I want our garment to have a message on it that resonates with you. Whether it's like we just did one for around Black History Month. We always do a collection for Black History Month, but this one, that one was dedicated towards the Olympic team that went out to 1988 Jamaican Olympic bobsled team. And with them, I visited Jamaica over the summer, and it just, my girlfriend's family is Jamaican.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to tie that in and tell that story, but everyone has a story in general. So with that one, it was like acknowledging your past, but also acknowledging your future and where you can go, or just knowing that can come back around. Someone had a goal, they had a dream, and they reached for it, they tried, and it got to that point where they can look back and they say, we did that. So, I hope I answered your question too.
Yeah. Why Jamaica and that bobsled team specifically? Because, in Cool Runnings that story was depicted in Cool Runnings, 1993 film.
Yeah.
But Cool Runnings was it was silly. It was very comedic.
Yeah.
So people almost look at that year, and because Jamaica's a place where there's no snow at all. There's no seasons. So it's almost looked at as like a joke in a way. Mm-hmm. So how do you bring seriousness to that event?
Yeah. And that was one of the things I thought about even going into that. We wanted to make sure we were using images and really conceptualizing that story well, so it wasn't taken as a joke. That film was very jokey. Let's get over it. Even the actors in that, you could tell they're still comedians to this day.
Nobody had a Jamaican accent.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely not authentic, at least. But so we wanted to make sure we were actually telling, how hard it was. Like you said, there's no snow in Jamaica.
Yeah.
They were practicing on the beach in sand. That's struggles, but they made it. They made it to this grand stage. Everyone wants to be on the grand stage eventually. And they put in the hustle. They put in the dedication, the time, the discipline. I'm real big on discipline. So just acknowledging that and realizing that they went through those, trials and tribulations, and they overcame those obstacles. That's what we wanted to focus on with the story that we told for that, with the collection. And even what the rollout, even the pieces that we used, the images on the garments, we wanted to make sure they embodied the actual true story, not the Cool Running side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you make the designation between putting verbal messaging on clothing and not pandering?
Yeah. I would say sometimes we try not to put too much words on a garment because the message could get lost, especially when it's tied to, let's face it, envy is a strong name, it's a strong word too. So when we try to tie the two together, sometimes the message could get lost. Or if we have images mixed with words, it might get lost some way. And let's face it, we're a streetwear brand, we're a fashion brand too. So we want to make sure that it's wearable. If we put too many words or wrong words on a garment, then, it will kind of go too far out to the left. Once you start doing that, you're losing people, you're losing your audience, you're losing your customers. And it might as well have just been an Instagram post instead of a garment. So, try to be careful with selection. Yeah.
Do you think there's certain keywords or buzzwords that would work on clothing and maybe not work on social media, or might work on social media but maybe not work on clothing? Do you think it's interchangeable?
Yeah, for sure. And I think we see that when there's a lot of campaigns going on. There's a lot of things going on in the world. Like even right now with everything going on about the abortion, with the Supreme Court's
Roe versus Wade.
Exactly. Yeah. So those would be great for Instagram posts, for blog posts, but putting that on a shirt and trying to sell it for like $50.
Yeah.
That's not going to hit. The message might be good. Somebody might love it, but to buy that for $50 is like
very nasty.
Yeah.
And then if all the proceeds is going to you, it's like
exactly. And that's one thing that with Envy, whenever we have done something, like even if it doesn't have it on the shirt and we put it around that time, we've made sure that we put some type of donations or proceeds that go to a certain charity organization. Like we try to do that for like breast cancer awareness. We've done something around then where we donated money to, I forgot what charity it was, and I'm sorry, I can't remember at the time, but we did that about like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
We donated to that charity, and then we did something around Mother's Day where we donated something to an organization that assisted Black women, Black single parents, Black mothers with essentials, programs to help them, go back to school, get essentials for their kid, just help them just, get back on their feet some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever feel pressure to maybe increase your price points and position Envy as a high-end designer brand or a high luxury streetwear brand like a Kith or a Ame Leon Dore?
Yeah, and I love those brands. I can't take anything away from them, but it's not me.
Yeah.
So I've gotten pressure, definitely to increase the price point, but not to necessarily call Envy like a luxury streetwear brand because we don't have that kind of swag to us.
Yeah.
I think our brand, really, if you look at our brand, you could tell that's not what we're going for.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely to increase price point, and that is something we're probably going to do in the near future, but not right now. I think our goal right now is to just get the name out there, make sure that our customers and our audience feel loved and they understand our price points. No one's really complained. The highest thing that we've ever charged for is our knit sweater. But come on, it's a knit sweater. It's a good quality, good weight. There was a lot of thought that was put into that. I think that was going for like $110. So that's the highest price point that we've ever had for a garment to today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are there any brands that keep you on your toes?
Yeah. Being from New York, there's a couple of people that I know personally that keep me on my toes day in, day out. Whenever they have a rollout, it's like, it's the competitive spirit in me, we have Visionary Society, well-known brand based out of New York. We have Tier. They got the sweatsuit game on lock. They've done a lot of things. And then a couple homies. We have Clue Clothing. Mess with them. Shout out to the homie Ant. We have Bernard Society, of course. Yeah. Went to high school with him. Very good guy. A lot of garments that, still tell a story. Very true to the people he speaks to. Very true to his audience. So they always keep me on my toes, and I'm always looking out to see what they're going to do next. Yeah. Yeah.
In streetwear, like all styles of fashion, there will always be specific and popular silhouettes. Mm-hmm. For example, graphic tees with the logo or the writing on the top left corner of the shirt, and then on the back of the shirt is the bigger writing or the bigger logo. And then even sweatsuits are a popular silhouette. Yeah. With certain popular styles being so popular across the world of streetwear, why should people wear Envy?
So with us, that's a good point. How do we stand out from our competition? So with us, what we do for our community and how we speak to our community, we want it to be different than what other brands are doing and what they're saying. We want our stories to be very compelling. That's why we do take moments to acknowledge different people within our community. So we did the Jamaican, dedication during Black History Month. We've done other things where we kind of tie back in, Black athletics during our, pre-fall collection last year. Yeah. So we really want something to stand out, but resonates with specific people. A lot of streetwear brands put out what they think is hot, but there's a story that's lost, or they don't really have a story. It's just, maybe they just thought this was hot for the season. It was a trend. We try to separate ourselves from the trends. Yeah. And we've been doing that pretty, every time we might have like one piece that just kind of like, sits on the trend, but the rest of the collection, we're talking like 6 or 7 pieces, it's all true to Envy. You can't get this piece anywhere else. You could walk into Forever 21, you could walk into Zara and probably find a T-shirt, or maybe even Urban Outfitters, and find a T-shirt that just has some type of words on it, some type of image on it. Like even with our custom band tees, we have one that's dropping with Shaka Khan right now. Yeah, that's going to be dropping. It was a hot piece. It's sold out in the ATL. But yeah, with that piece, it's like you can't find that anywhere else. You can't walk into Urban Outfitters. You could walk into Urban and find a Nasty Nas T-shirt. Yeah, and it'll be the same one on eBay, Amazon. It's just like attaching your name to it. But with us, you can't find that anywhere else. It's gonna be genuine. Yeah.
But speak about that in Atlanta. You know, you were at the Atlanta Streetwear Market, and
Yeah,
it seemed like a very communal environment.
for sure.
What is the importance of multiple streetwear brands being in one setting and building relationships?
Yeah, it's huge because you're given an opportunity to network and also meet other creatives. You know, like you said earlier, you know, we all have our different stories, our journeys. So to connect with people on that level that kind of went through what you went through, that's real. You know, even these supply chain issues right now are a pain in the ass, and
Yeah.
they're real. You know, they're affecting a lot of businesses. No matter, even restaurants are closing because of it. So with that, being in that space, it was like, you know, you're able to build future opportunities to collab with people. Maybe it's an event, maybe it's a shirt, maybe it's a hoodie for a reason, for a purpose. But just building those opportunities and allowing those to just happen naturally is something that, you know, I give a lot of credit to Atlanta Streetwear Market for building that environment, because out in New York, you know, you might not be able to find an environment like that, you know, an event like that. And that's what a lot of people were saying. There was a couple of people out there from New York, you know. Even my team, I had about 3 or 4 other people with me. And they said, this is dope. This is different.
Yeah.
You know, in New York, you probably wouldn't expect this. But, yeah, it's important, and we need more of that. I wish we could bring that to New York, though.
Why don't you think something like that could exist in New York?
Just a different environment. It's a different climate in New York. You know, out in like a southern kind of moving state like Georgia and ATL, and that city is just totally like a different atmosphere.
Yeah.
You know, up here, everyone's just so heads down. You know, if I don't personally know you, then I'm just going to stick to what I'm doing. You know, and I hate that about New York. It's the one thing I hate about New York. You know, we're always in our bubble, but it's okay to like step outside of our world sometimes. To kind of just support someone you don't know, support someone you don't know from a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people just support someone off the strength of who else is wearing it or who else knows. And in New York, we have a lot of brands that people usually do wear. And even here in New York, you see a lot of people, you know, they walk through the streets, essentials, fear of God.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a uniform. If you're not in uniform, then it's kind of like, you know, you're wearing something different, but you're not taking the time to know what that is. It's just like, some people do. Don't get me wrong. Some people do, but you know, a lot of, like I said, a lot of guys, it's like if it's not hot, you know, especially if like other girls aren't, you know, paying any love to it or they don't know it. Then
They don't see a rapper wearing it or something like that.
Exactly. And down there in ATL, it wasn't about that.
Yeah.
It was just like, you know, I have a personal interest in this garment. It has a message that resonates with me, and I'm going to do what I got to do to get it in my closet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go into like making like skinny biker jeans and stuff. It's like the designer brands.
Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do like the leather skinnies that flare out with the bottom with the zipper. Like, nah, that's not really us, because it just doesn't speak to us, man. It's not my style.
Yeah.
Once upon a time it might have been, but you know, I'm about to hit 30 next year, so yeah, it's just different, you know. That's just what it is.
Yeah. How important is feedback?
Feedback is huge, man, because you get to really understand what people are looking for. If something's not it, it's not it, you know? And then even with that, it's like my girlfriend all the time is telling me something that she likes. You know, as we get older, we sometimes do like a cleaner aesthetic. And if something's not clean, maybe the typography is off, maybe the colors are off, maybe it's something that should be saved for another season. That's all feedback that's good for us, because it helps us not put that out right then. It helps us not miss the mark with the next collection, because everything takes a toll. It's like dominoes. You set one up, and then you set another 2 up before that first one is clean and thoroughly thought through.
Yeah.
You already are knocking down other pieces. So now it's like, instead of building for the future, you have this grand puzzle. This, you know, you've seen those videos where there's a bunch of dominoes put together and then everything is knocked down, and it shows like maybe a person's face or a building or something. So when you're setting up the pieces correctly, using that feedback, it helps you grow, you know, in the right direction.
Yeah.
It helps you move in that direction that you need to take the brand to elevate.
What specific feedback have you gotten that helped you elevate?
I remember when we first started out, and this was actually advice that was given to me with the previous brand before Envy. You know, it was to take risk, to understand that you have customers who want different colors, different patterns, and it helped us to step outside of that box. And at the time, it was just me. So all feedback was welcome. You know, I didn't have a team behind me at the time. So now with the team, it's every time I approach some type of collection or even a meeting, I'm trying to get us to understand how do we elevate and stay true to who we are, but still, you know, understand that we have a certain customer base, but we also have customers within our customer base who want something a little different than the next brand or that we've done, you know, in the past.
Yeah. Whether it's, you know, feedback or about the designs or even, you know, the logistics, how do you compare yourself as a business person compared to a creative person?
I would say they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because I'm the creative director of the brand.
Yeah.
So they definitely go hand in hand. But sometimes I have to step away from just being that correct creative's bag to understand the business aspects. You know, something that I've grown as a business person throughout the years because of. You know, I'm putting money into this business and I want the best results. So I just can't put something out that's just, you know, something that I respect on the creative side. It has to make sense for the business. It has to make sense for the brand. So it's about staying true to yourself. And as a creative, I understand there's certain things that we can keep in the stash. Even if I would rather put it out, I have to keep it in the stash because it's just not the right time. It's not a good look for us. And then that's because of the business side. I understand when I have to discipline my team, discipline us, and see the bigger picture. Yeah. So it goes hand in hand for me because as the brand grows, I want us to develop into like the Envy Studios. I want people to trust the brand, not only with our quality, but with the messages behind every collection that we have. Yeah.
I mean, what are the ultimate intentions? I mean, outside of building a studio, but how do you want Envy to be perceived in the scope of streetwear and you know, New York? And
that's a good one. So with that, it's like I really want us to be perceived as like there's this store out in LES called Lambs. Yeah. And a lot of people flock to that store because it's big on community. Yeah. I can't get away from just using the word community because that's like the origins of streetwear. So with us to see that store exist, we see that there is a possibility, there is, you know, space for that same type of vibe, that same type of energy within our space. So for us to see that, it's kind of like we have to always know that no matter what we do, we're doing it with our heart involved. Like we're pouring our passion into it. So for someone to step into a space like, you know, we go to our pop-up last year in 2021, that was our first pop-up. And no one could go into that space and say our team isn't welcoming. Our team isn't loved and we don't give love back. Because I grew, you know, when I was in high school, I worked in retail. And I did have my grumpy days, don't get me wrong. You know, and it's hard. It's hard being in business. It's hard being a team member in a business. So when you step into an environment like one of our pop-ups or just one of our events in general, I want you to know and I want you to see the brand and everything that you mean to us, just for even just saying what's up to us. Even if you didn't cop something, just for posting us on our story, just know, you know, we love you. Yeah. That's love, that we built on love, and we want to give that love right back to you. Yeah.
How important is a team? Because, you know, it could. I would think it would be hard to find people that are just on board with you. You know, especially early stages, you might not have, you know, the ability to keep, you know, that overhead.
Yeah. Shout out to the Envy team for real, because I know sometimes they be seeing me as a pain in the ass. You know, I'll be bringing up things that's, you know, and it happened the other day where I had to take a step back and say, you know, not everyone on my team is my age. I got some younger people on my team. They're like 25. They just hit 25, turning 26. Everyone's in different parts of their life. Some work 9 to 5s. Some are trying to get a new 9 to 5. and they're all creative in their own space. So to be led by another creative, it's tough.
Yeah.
And especially when you take the business side into it, it's not like we're just doing this for fun. We're building a business. This is going to, like, we have a whole LLC attached to this.
Yeah.
So with them, we did have interview processes for some. For some of them, I met them, organically through different events, different people. Everyone on the team was brought on for a certain thing.
Yeah.
We have someone who does videography. We have someone who assists with graphic design, artwork. We have someone dedicated to sales. And I've met majority of them either because they applied for the position or because I possibly worked with them in the past. So I see, their work ethic. I see how dedicated they can be. And I see the potential in them. That's another thing. Like, I'm very big on seeing potential in someone. And I'm a good judge of character, I would say. I've been told that too. I recruit for a living in my 9 to 5. I do talent acquisition. So I can see the things. I can see things that someone might not see in someone else.
Yeah.
And that's how I genuinely feel about, reading someone.
Yeah.
So is just having a team, especially the type of team I have, will take you places.
What do you think are the specific qualities that you may need in the future, or what qualities are required to be a member of the NV team?
Someone's passionate,
dedicated
for sure. Just taking good feedback, constructive feedback, of course, because not every idea you have will be a hit.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll be missed, or sometimes they just won't work at the moment. We might have to come back to it. There's been situations where I have butted with, had butted heads with people on my team. Not anything, any hostility type of thing. It's just like, just creative differences.
Yeah.
And it's because we've had to take the business side of things into consideration, our larger audience base. So having that discipline and just being open to criticism or just feedback, the right type of feedback, of course. I think that's some key elements of being on the team. They could take you places. They help you grow as a person as well.
Before Envy of New York became something tangible, what did some of the original designs look like?
Man, I remember the first collection. The first collection was just like my, what was it? It's like a good album reference. I want to say, remember when Kanye dropped Excuse Me for Being Bipolar or something like that? It was like when he had the whole album listening party out in Wyoming.
Oh, you talking about the Ye album. And he is the cover is
like
the mountains.
And it's like written in
and
like
it's written like
yeah. So with that album, like everyone knew it was like a little all over the place.
Yeah.
He had just got back. He was just having the time of his life. And for me, the first collection was me separating from the previous brand. So it was like, I'm by myself. I'm having fun with it. I'm a brand new father. I still look back. I took a picture with Joe Fresh Goods, and I was like dressed like Sean Witherspoon, real dad mode, like yellow shorts above the knee. Like I was just in that collection with was like a visual representation of my mindset and my style at the time. So with those pieces, it was like all over the place. It was like a long sleeve with tie-dye, had some smiley faces, and it was also somewhat of the trends that were going on. So I tried to tap in with that, but also just like I was happy. I was doing something that I really loved. Life was good. It was like a summertime, so everyone was on a high. So with that, I would never drop those pieces again, though. Those pieces were crazy, and it was what I could afford at the moment too. There was some money that went into that, but now the brand is at a stage where, we have the right people behind us. We're working with the right vendors, manufacturers that can really help us bring our business to life. Yeah.
What about you got a son, a toddler.
Yep.
What about Envy baby clothes?
Everyone nags me about that, especially my lady. So she has a few friends that have kids.
Yeah.
I only have one friend that has a kid that I see regularly.
Yeah.
Maybe two that I see regularly. But I just don't think we're there yet.
Yeah.
Maybe in the future, maybe in a few years. Could be 1 year, it could be 2 years. You never know. Maybe this collection this summer might make us boom and we get like 35K, followers or something. And then maybe we're at a point because we have a larger audience that, a lot of them may have kids. But right now, it's just not something in the works. Yeah. It's something that I've kind of like thought about. Yeah. I'm starting to make a sample for my own son just to see how it would look. Yeah. A little sweatsuit. It would have been fire. It didn't happen. Probably get it this fall, and I'll see. Yeah. It's always good to have samples to come back to for the future. Yeah.
Do you come up with all the designs yourself for everything?
For the most part. But then we do have, we've ventured out a little bit and we changed things up, changed our system internally where we do have people on the inside on my team, like Aaron. He's been working a little, way closer on the design side. So a lot of the pieces this summer, we're dropping sets. A lot of them is his contributions to the design process. And then we also have Bo. She helps with a lot of the artwork. So she started doing more and more artwork. So you'll see more of her designs. She actually helped with the knit sweater design that we did. Yeah. She helped with the women's history T-shirt, Give Women Their Flowers, or Flowers for Her. That was the name of the T-shirt. So she did majority of that. For that T-shirt, we usually go back and forth, me and Bo, because she does, if it's something where there's a lot of drawing involved, she steps in, and then I come in and I help with a lot of the placement for certain things that still draw from her drawing, draw influence from her drawing. Yeah. And then a lot of typography. That's something that I've worked on over the years and I have gotten better with. So it's always like, we piggyback off of each other as opposed to back in the day when I was just leading the charge. I do still lead the charge on some pieces just because there's no artwork involved. Yeah. Or there might be artwork involved and I want us to stay true to our aesthetic, our brand identity. But we're growing in a direction where, a lot of the other pieces that you'll see are contributions from other people on the team. Yeah.
How hard is it to design something and then you send the designs to your distributor and, for it to come back the exact way that you expressed on however you drew it on?
Yeah, that's probably the worst process. It's the most tedious one too, because it's like I'll specifically tell somebody I don't want the zipper to be this length. Like I probably want it to just be maybe a 4-inch slit, or maybe I just want the logo placement in a specific spot or a specific size. And sometimes it might be the colors off. Sometimes it might take 2 or 3 samples for us to get it right. Or, we do our own mock-ups in-house. So when I send you the mock-up, I expect it to look like the mock-up. And it's sometimes it's just off. Maybe the smallest detail. And it's how you overlook that? Yeah. But it's all right because I've been working with the same manufacturer, our main manufacturer, at least for about going on 4 years now. So they understand. They even make suggestions that help us elevate certain things. But then we have another new manufacturer, and we're still trying to understand each other. So it's like a learning process for them as much as it is for us. And it will be a long process. Sometimes people oversee how much work goes into before we get a piece out. It's 3 samples, and each sample might cost $70 to $100, and that's just for, for a hoodie. $70, it's that's retail price. Yeah. Well, by the time you walk into a store and you buy a hoodie or go online to our shop and buy that hoodie, that's, we paid $70 plus shipping. It's $40 for shipping, $30 for shipping. So it's a sample is $110, $120, depending on what it is. So, yeah.
You want to open up a brick and mortar, Tear Studios to be, one-stop shop for creatives. Will that include a retail space for the clothing as well?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It'll definitely be a section that's dedicated for you coming in, just chopping it up with us. And that's why I mentioned Lambs, because they have that set up. They've had someone upstairs kind of doing stitching and embroidery in the past. They have my homie Omi. He does a lot of spray paint, airbrush stuff on site. But of course you can still go in, you could buy books, you could buy merchandise from different people. And I wanted to just not only be about envy, about our clients, our customers that we work with. So, maybe even have some of their stuff in the shop. But, of course, it will be dedicated primarily to Envy. Maybe like a small cut out of, just us, hosting their brand in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's next for Scott Beale-King and Envy of New York?
Yeah, so there's no looking back at this point. Just full throttle forward. We have the summer pop-up. Most likely will be June, second weekend in June. After that, we have the anniversary in August. Probably do like an event for the brand. Just, low price event. Have people come out, get some drinks, get some eats.
How many years is that?
Man, this will be the 4th year. And we've been operating for, I say it'd be the 4th year it's been in existence, but only 3 years operating because we did take a hit around COVID where we were MIA for pretty much a whole year.
Yeah.
But 4 years operating will be August. So we'll do an event around there. And then we have the fall, try to get some varsity jackets out. That's been a goal for us to drop some varsities. We have a sample that's kind of floating around out there. I've been wearing it, a lot of good feedback on that, but we got a lot of good items. We're taking risks, taking chances, and we're just trying to see, what the feedback is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why do words matter to you?
Words matter to me, man. That's deep because what you say, what you put out into the world comes back around. You always see it again, but it's also, people are looking for you for guidance sometimes, depending on who you are. You never know who's listening to you. So for someone to sit back and like really understand what you're talking about or seeing what you're saying, it can influence them to be better, to do better, to be greater, to want more for themselves, to understand, okay, I don't know how to start a streetwear brand. I don't know how to start a business. I don't have experience. I didn't go to school for any of this. I'm all self-taught, YouTube economics, all of that, bro. Like, so like with that, I know people are looking for someone for guidance, like the tips, the pros, the cons, what can go right, what can go wrong. And like that's your words have power over people. It could be a compliment. It could be something that you say that tears someone down. And it could just be something that just sounds like love.
Yeah.
And it just keep putting love back into the world, keep putting positive affirmations into the world. It's contagious. They say love is contagious. Negativity, you want that to stop. No one wants COVID to keep going. Yeah. But to understand that, there's brighter, there's better. And it comes from someone taking the opportunity to say those things to someone or to just say it to the genuine public.
Yeah. And why do words and storytelling matter to you in clothing?
It matters to me in clothing because everything has to have a purpose. Everything needs to have a message. So to put those on garments, put those in clothing, or even the story behind the collection itself, you're inviting someone in to your mind. You're inviting someone into a lifestyle that they might not be familiar with. You're giving them the opportunity to see that there's more to the world than what they're used to. Mm-hmm. And that's why we'll always continue to do that with Envy.
I think that's a good place to wrap it up, man. Thank you, Scott, for coming here. You live in Brooklyn, so you're not coming down to Brooklyn, but, coming across the borough to chop it up with Words Matter pod. And, man, thank you, and, much success for you in the future with Envy and all the things that you aspire to be.
Definitely. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. And I appreciate you for having me. Much success to you. Best of luck. Words Matter is something that I see going for years, and a lot of great people have touched this mic, stepped on the stage with you, so I appreciate the opportunity, man.
Yeah, thank you. So, once again, like, comment, and subscribe to the Words Matter Network page on YouTube, and hit that follow button on Spotify and Apple Podcast. And thanks again, man. Words Matter Pod with Akil Pinnock. Peace.